Hey, what's good, everybody? Tarafdar back with a brand new video. I'm coming to the park today just to take a quick walk. Sun's coming down, and I decided to shoot a quick video just to give you guys a couple of different pointers in reference to your personal credit, and a couple of different pointers in reference to the content that's coming out lately, with a lot of people getting concerned about, this whole change in the credit system because of Biden and the election, and of course, the systematic structure change that's going to happen, and what's going to happen to your personal credit should that change take effect. What's going to happen to your personal credit if they decide to actually go that direction, and how does that affect you and your ability to, maintain credit, borrow, and how it's going to affect credit in general altogether is that perspective we're going to discuss today. So let's start with a couple of things. Number one, I know there's a lot of people who have their opinions on this, and they'll say, look, this change is going to take a little while before it gets implemented. This change is going to take a little while before it comes into a realization. And the reality is that's true, right? Whereas others say, well, this change will be almost immediate or instantaneous, and this change is going to happen pretty much in a very short period of time. Some are estimating a year, some are estimating, 2 to 3 years. The reality behind what I know on a professional level, the reason I'm telling you guys this from my perspective is because A, I'm out there with the banks, the financial institutions, the M&A guys, the people who buy and sell companies, the e-banks, and there's a constant discussion around systems and processes and change in technology that enables us to work more efficiently. And one of the biggest problems that I see is if this change were to happen on a credit system in the format of changing this whole thing, let's say immediately, it's going to pretty much crush any type of underwriting, effective underwriting, that is, right? Because you have to keep in mind that Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet, the private side of these guys, the business side of it, basically, because you have to keep in mind they have business credit bureaus as well, right? It's not just personal. And in fact of the matter is, a good portion of their structure is based on servicing businesses and underwriting risk for businesses and offering risk mitigation tools for businesses, right? So let's look at this in a perspective of a multi-million-dollar company that's leveraging the credit bureaus on a very regular basis to offer loans to consumers and to perhaps offer financial products since day one. And what kind of effect will it have if they suddenly change these systems, and if they go over a unified system that doesn't really carry all the market research study and, hundreds of millions of data points that would help make an underwriting decision more efficient and offer that risk mitigation process to be able to do it so in such a way that it's efficient. It's very rare, right? So given that be the case, and given that be that the situation of really going through this change may not necessarily be the best solution at the moment until they come to put together private databases that they can independently rely on in order to mitigate that risk, I think it's too premature to say that this change is going to happen within a year, within 2 to 3 years, right? It's too premature because, we already talked about this. We said, look, if businesses are depending on this on a very heavy level, right? If businesses are depending on this because that's the systems they used for over 3 decades now, they've used this in such a way that they've built up dependencies on this system for the sake of their business, right? They built dependencies on the systems because they leverage these platforms for credit underwriting to make a decision on the loan products that they offer in the marketplace, to make a decision on, going out there and helping consumers get the financing they need. If this system is challenged in any capacity, or if there's something new and unrelated that's introduced that doesn't carry, all these type of things that you would have typically in underwriting and the perspective of underwriting, then you're pretty much at risk. You're pretty much putting yourself in a situation where your business no longer has the systems in place that it once used to have. Just because right now what happens is, now you have to go based on a unified system. So to me, it really doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. The math doesn't work. Because if you're going to leverage this system, what you have to understand, is you need to have something that you can look at and say, well, if I cross-reference this new system, right? If I cross-reference this new sets of data that's coming in, how dependable is it? And to me, I don't think it's as dependable as you would have based on 30 years of research. Now, keep in mind, Right? We're not talking about a consumer level situation. We're talking about risk mitigated underwriting. Right? We're not talking about credit reports per se, but we're talking about holistic data based on financial parameters of defaults. We're talking about areas where there's a lot of funding that happen. We're talking about situations where you go out there and you're speaking to individuals about, the financing products and the financial products that they have, or the household financial products that they carry. All these type of things is additional data points that underwriters use when determining the amount that they extend to you. So, back in the days, I had a lot of people say, well, if you're a part of a certain type of community or you're in a certain neighborhood, you get less money. And the reality is there are certain data points they used to support that, but it's no longer the case, right? And if you say, well, no, it's still the case, and I had, black communities not get as much funding in certain areas of Chicago or, metropolis areas like in Illinois and so on and so forth. I think the reality is those sections that you're talking about, it's not necessarily because of the community color or anything of that nature. It's because in the past, those systems that were flawed and that actually caused this issue have, given a strict tap limit of the amount of credit that can be extended in those regions. So it's not necessarily because you're black or white. It's because those regions themselves don't carry market value. And underwriting systems are designed to offer extended credit based on what market value is, and that's how risk works. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is, okay, well, first, this whole new system that, Biden spoke about, this unified credit underwriting system, is it going to be the case? Is it going to be something that we will see as a change? And how soon can we see that? And the reality to that is you're probably not going to see it anytime soon. It's probably going to take 5, 6, 7, even 10 years before systems are adapted to such standardized process of a unified underwriting system. And if that's the case, then I think you and I really need to concentrate on a couple of things. And I always encourage you guys, don't just sit there and think that, you're kind of stuck in between a hard place and a rock just because this new system of underwriting doesn't work. My objective with you guys is if you're going to go ahead and if you're going to go through the process of getting loans, or if you guys are trying to build personal credit, you're trying to strengthen that level of personal credit and you're trying to carry some weight in that level of underwriting, then start to think about how to strengthen your existing relationships. You have a couple of years ahead of you before this unified system kicks in, right? And let's assume that this unified system picks up patterns from the past. Let's say now the FICO 10T says, okay, well, we analyze 24 months of payment history. What if this new unified system analyzes 5 years of payment history? And you haven't taken the time for the next 5 years, let's assume the system kicks in 10, but for the next 5 years, you haven't taken the time to build this. What's going to happen? You guys are going to fall behind. You're not going to get the credit underwriting that you're looking for. And you're going to have a weak profile that really has no substance. All bark, but no bite, right? So don't be too concerned about whether or not the system is going to affect your credit. Be concerned about what kind of credit are you building for the system to pick up on in the future, given good best practices of your personal credit. This channel wasn't necessarily started for credit repair. This is the truth. It was started for financial education, credit enhancement, and strategies of wealth building. I saw a huge need for individuals who are struggling with personal credit, given my background from investment banking and having worked with financial institutions and credit repair agencies in the past, and of course businesses who are in position to start and pull credit from consumers and start reporting those items to the bureaus. I think the biggest thing I saw as a demand was people wanting to have some clarity, right? And yes, I do have a course, and I strongly encourage you, if anything, I compel you to go take that course because it's one of the most advanced credit courses that you can possibly get. And I don't hold any information back. And it's one of those things that is life-changing. On the live stream, you guys had, obviously the Queen of Crypto. She joined us the other day. But we also had Josiah Blen. This gentleman, he was 17 years old when he reached out to me, and he asked me, Ali, I want to learn how to build credit and help myself and help my mom, and I want to help people. And I gave him a chance. I told him, take the course, give it a try. And he's taken this knowledge, he's made himself an authority in this marketplace. He pulled himself out, and he pushed himself to further educate himself and build up his credit and keep and maintain that. If a 17-year-old was motivated to do this, we have no excuses not to build up credit, maintain that, and start building bankable relationships that will matter regardless of what system is used for underwriting or not. Don't be too boggled down on that, right? End result is, if everything checks out across the board, your payment history, your credit, your relationships with institutions, the strength of that relationship with those institutions. Do you really care what system is being used? The only time you'd care is because you know there's a flaws on personal financial habits that's hurting your ability to borrow. And I think the biggest thing we need to address is not the system, but those flaws. If you address those flaws, then you position yourself to go and get underwriting the proper way, that you can actually go out there and essentially, get that credit profile fixed up, get the money that you need for your financial needs, and just continue stacking that up until the point where you have more solid, strong relationships with each and every institution that you guys deal with. So I just wanted to shoot out this quick vid here, give you guys that clarity so that you understand the level of information that I'm sharing with you guys, and hopefully you appreciate the information about maintaining and strengthening your individual personal credit relationships and the institutional relationships that you have, so that regardless of what systems is in the future, you're in position no matter what. And that's what I'm asking you guys to do. All right. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you haven't liked this video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button so that other people can find me. And of course, we can start sharing this content out there with those individuals. If you're new here and if you haven't subscribed, well, I compelled you enough to subscribe and turn that notification on. So every time videos come up, you'll be the first to know. You'll be the first to participate, and hopefully leave some comments if you guys have any specific questions in reference to the material we discussed today. And with that said, this is definitely your guide and mentor, Ali Tarafdar. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.